Hello everyone, KosakChess here, and welcome everyone to the recap of the last round of Menorca Chess Open. As you can see in the background, I again changed the scenario. That's why, because I came back home safely yesterday, and now I have a time to record it calmly from my home place. In the last round, I played against an Israeli Grandmaster Ido Gorshtein. I was trying to play this game without any pressure on myself, because I already knew few rounds ago that I don't fight for a Grandmaster norm. I just wanted to finish this tournament with a good result, with a good game, and well, let's see how the game went on the board. The game started with c4. I played e5. I just wanted to go for some English. Usually I play something rather like e6 or g6, maybe knight f6, and going for some d5. But sometimes I play e5. I even managed to win a quite a nice game against Paweł Tetzlaff on Polish Superliga. So, well, sometimes I also play the c5 and go the classical English. He plays g3, knight f6, bishop g2, and c6. This was the move I also opted for when I played against Paweł. The idea is to play, of course, d5 and to build a quite good pawn center. The classical way to play the English is, of course, d5, which is also really good. cd5, knight d5, knight c3, knight b6, and so on. There is also quite a wide theory there, but c6 move, which I played, is also known and popular on the highest level. Knight f3, e4, knight d4, and queen b6. I just attack the knight and ask him a lot of questions. The e3 move, really reasonable to protect the knight in the center. Move d5 and knight c3. In the game I have mentioned, Paweł played c takes d5, but it actually isn't that good, because after cd5 I get a c6 square for my knight, where I don't have any problems with the development. Gorshtein played knight c3, so, well, I don't have an access to the c6 square, of course, so that's why I want to develop pieces in that way. I play bishop g4 with a tempo, and he plays queen b3. I remember I analyzed this move, queen b3, because I remember that Wesley Saw in one game played like this, but I couldn't recall my notes during the game. So already in this moment I was playing on my own, and the only thing I knew there is that I need to develop pieces. So I played knight a6, maybe a little bit ugly looking move, but its intention is to go to c5. If I manage to go to d3, it would be a perfect place for the knight. The only move in the database is bishop c5. I checked it directly after the game, but still I am analyzing it without the engine. So, well, we will go through my potential mistakes together. So bishop c5, now I know this is the main move. I played knight e6, which during the game also sounded reasonable to me. He played cd5, queen takes b3, a takes b3, and cd5. If I took, of course, cd5 first, there is knight d5, after queen b3, knight f6 intermezzo, and I am pawn down, and with a lost position. So queen b3, b3, c takes d5, d3. And this is the game I played on the. This is the game which was broadcasted on liches.org and on any other serious chess website. So you can see in the corners of the board, you can see the clocks. He's 1 hour 25 minutes, me 1 hour 20, and after bishop b4 15 minutes I spent. Totally unnecessary, normally looking move, but I was calculating many lines. First of all, I was calculating e takes d3, and after knight takes d5, bishop d5, long castle. But I didn't really want to put the king on the side, on the queen side, where the c file is opened, and he doesn't have many effort to put the rook on c file. He can just play bishop d2, rook c1, and my king would be attacked really easily. So without this, with this idea, it is not that easy for me to duel on castle. So I didn't like this option, knight d5, bishop d5, and long castle. Maybe there I can go bishop b4, but bishop d2. And still, this knight on a6 looks really ugly. In my head, I realized that I need to, you know, the d3 square belongs to my knight. This was what I realized for this knight. So if I put the pawn there, it would be, well, I would be really struggling to find a plan for myself. So I played bishop b4. This is also the move which protects the pawn on e4. After d takes c4, I wanted to play knight takes c4, attacking the pawn, attacking the knight on c3, and yes, he doesn't gain an advantage. So he played h3 first, kicking off the bishop, which covers the e2 and d1 squares. I came back to d7, which sounded pretty normal to me. He made a castle. Yeah. And now, again, I didn't know... Sorry for my cough, but I came from this tournament a little bit sick. At least, you know, almost half of the playing venue were coughing. So probably I brought with myself some infection. So sorry for my cough, but unfortunately, many of the players were not in that good. Yeah, they were struggling with health. Let's put it in these words. After castle, now the pawn on e4 is hanging, and I was really struggling with finding a plan there. My first intention was to, of course, play knight c4, but the variation I didn't like is that he just takes the pawn on e4, and after d takes e4, he has something like knight a2, a really annoying move which I didn't know how to answer, because now this bishop is attacked. If I retreat, he plays b4, making a fork. If I play like knight d3, he can just take and play bishop d2. And with the bishop pair, with this knight which is attacked, with the rook on c1, then rook c7, this pawn might be pressed by playing g4, g5. I didn't really like this variation. So knight c5 unfortunately didn't really convince me. Bishop c3, bc3 also didn't, because, you know, I improved his pawn structure. I just sacrificed my bishop pair, bishop a3 in the future, which can stop me making a castle. Now if I make a castle, he can again take on e4, d4, play bishop a3, rook c8, c4. My pieces are, you know, a little bit, they have limited possibilities, and I'm staying a little bit passive. So I didn't really like this position. So after all, I just decided to take the pawn, because I understood that if I don't answer against the pressure which he made on my center, I will just lose the pawn on e4. So ed3 sounded pretty okay to me. Now after knight d5, bishop d5, and knight c5, defending the pawn, defending the knight, and also threatening d2, now I think that black is perfectly fine there. But of course he doesn't have to take the pawn on d5. He played rook d1 first, which is really good move, because he attacks the pawn, he stops the d2 in the in some variations, especially if this knight on c3 disappears. So rook d1 is really good. He plays really quickly, as you can see. He has already 20 minutes of advantage. And yeah, and there again, I just didn't know what to do. I was mainly calculating knight c5, but again knight a2, and after this d2, if I play d2, because, you know, again, after bishop a5 there's b4. If I play a5, knight b4, the pawn is pinned, so I am losing. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I can play d4 and make him to go for something like this, but every of his piece is almost on a perfect square. The pressure on d5, the pressure on the c5 knight. Yeah, this is not This is not what I entirely like. So yeah, knight c5 was one of my intention. I was also calculating long castle, short castle, sorry, what happened in the game. And rook d3 was the thing, was what was maybe what was not annoying me, but I believe during the game this was the only move he has to play, rook d3. And again, after knight c5, rook d1, I just wanted to go for something like bishop c3, bc3, and rook c8. Then maybe to play knight d4, go for something like knight takes c3. If I have the knight on e4, maybe I can hold it. Bishop a3, knight d4. This was the thing. After c4, I know that he can press the center even more. Yeah, that's why I was really struggling with it. I just didn't know what to do, and this is the kind of position I don't really like to get. I am pawn up, but I have destroyed pawn structure. He has really easy plan. He presses the center. He attacked my pawn on d3. Well, I don't have. I don't know what to do with this knight, because if I put the knight on c5 and nothing happens, the position is perfect. But always I have this. I have to struggle with this knight a2 move, which I don't really like. So also I was thinking of maybe that I need to escape with the bishop e7. But now he plays knight d5, bishop d5. And after knight c5 he can play b4. Now if I don't have the bishop on b4, he can play b4. And he kicks off my knight, he takes the pawn, he takes this pawn. Yeah, so... Well, I just made a castle after, after almost 20 minutes of thinking, because I understood that castle is the most logical move there. In general, I repeat to everyone that if you don't do a castle during the game, in general, you can't say you played a good game. So I just tried to follow the rule and made a castle finally after 20 minutes of thinking. And I was mainly considering rook d3, as I have told you, but I was most probably I would go for knight c5, and after rook d1 I would create something. Yeah, probably this bishop c3, bc3, and rook fc8, something like this. But it doesn't convince me that much. But this is probably the this is the smallest evil. Can I say like this? I have no idea. But okay, who cares? He played g4, so this move surprised me totally. I didn't see this one, but sounds pretty good. G5 is the threat. In some variations, this pawn on h3 doesn't hang, because after castle, if he takes the pawn on d5, I can play knight d5, bishop d5, knight c5. Now the knight a2 isn't possible, because the knight is not on c3, so knight c5 makes perfect sense, and the bishop h3 might be a potential threat. So he plays g4 to avoid such things, right? So it makes perfect sense. I played rook fd8, because again, knight c5 I can't play because of this knight a2. I didn't really like rook ac8 because knight d5, bishop d5. And after knight c5, this pawn is hanging. If not knight c5, this pawn is dropping off the board. So rook fd8 sounded good for me to put the rook on the d file in order to protect the d5 pawn somehow. Now if the knight d5 happens, after knight d5, bishop g5, I have bishop g4. And this bishop is hanging, bishop f7, king f7, hg4, and knight c5. Again, knight a2 doesn't exist, so I have perfect position right now. The pawn on d3 is protected. These pieces are really annoying for white, so perfect position. But he just took the pawn on d3. I played rook ac8, developing the last piece. Again, after knight d5, I have something like knight d5, bishop d5, knight c5, rook d1, and bishop g4. And this bishop is hanging. But he just played rook d1. He just asked me again what to do. What to do, my friend? What do you want to do? And because, knight a6 is still on a6, is still on the edge of the board. and again, I don't really like it. Well, the g5 is in the air. I don't really want to play something like h6 because I thought that, you know, it might be too slow, apparently. Yeah, when I saw that I can take the free pawn, I just went for it. Bishop c3, bc3, rook c3. But he just played bishop d2. I came back, and bishop f1. And he's pawn down, but, you know, he's pressing me. This knight on a6, I can't really move him. Knight c5, rook a7. So I am losing a pawn. This knight on d4 is perfectly placed there. And yeah, the position is really hard. I play knight d4 in order to pretend that I gain some activity. Bishop a6, ba6, rook a6. He regained the pawn, and with this beautiful knight on d4, with my weak pawns on d5 and a7, strategically he's totally winning. I played h5, he played f3. Well, if he plays gh5, bishop h3, now this pawn is a weak, and bishop g4, bishop h5 might happen in the future. But of course he doesn't want to destroy his pawn structure. He plays f3, knight g5, king g2, he just defends everything, he just doesn't hurry with anything. h4, knight e6, bishop a5, rook e8 and rook a7. And I saw this whole variation, but, you know, when you have like 5 minutes, because this was the amount of time which left on the clock, 5 minutes against his 40 or 50 minutes even, it is not so easy to defend the position. Knight takes d4, rook d4, bishop e6, b4. I think I could even play somewhere better, because he played bishop b6, rook b3, king f4, and I played this king h7 move with the silent idea that I play king g6 and develop the rook into the attack via the h file. But it turned out that the king on g6 isn't really well placed. He plays just bishop c5, king g6, rook d2, so he just waits for my rook h8 move, and when I play this rook h8, a really annoying rook a6, and now I believe I should be deadly lost. I missed rook a6 move. The thing is that he's threatening me to take the d5 pawn, and I can't really protect it. If I play rook d8, this is just a, no, I admit that I made a mistake, and my rook is passive. Probably for the whole game, because now I have to worry every single time for this d5 pawn. I didn't really want to do it. I played rook h1, pretending that I gained some activity. He just took the pawn. I played rook f1, but after rook g5, king h7, bishop d4, I just called it a day and resigned, because of the fact that the pawn is hanging. If I protect the pawn while playing f6, there is rook h5 and rook e6 check. Not rook e6 checks, but he's gaining a free bishop. But when I play g6, I opened this dark diagonal after rook a8. The mate on h8 might be inevitable, so again, it is over. I don't even know what to say after this game, because I think that my main problem was that I I couldn't really focus during the game. When the first sign of it might be seen when you saw that I spent almost 20 minutes by thinking if I should do a castle or not. I was trying to think, maybe protecting this pawn, bishop e6, bishop c6, maybe knight c7, maybe taking on c3 first, etc, etc. I was in strategical position. I was trying to calculate variations where the biggest priority is just to follow the rules, follow the basic rules. Probably maybe also the knight on a6 wasn't the best idea, because I admit directly after the game I checked the database, and I saw that the bishop c5 is the only move which has been played there, and it makes sense because I don't put the knight on the edge of the board. Bishop c5. I have to check, of course, what happens after c takes d5. If I can see something. No, CD5 maybe hasn't been played, but yeah, the Wesley Saw have played it with the black pieces. No, with the black or with the white. Insert. With the black pieces. Yeah, so d3. So there was a game Bog Benjamin Wesley Saw, and Benjamin Bog played d3 immediately, but it means that bishop c5 looks good if Wesley Saw 2780 player plays like this. And after d3, the games went dc4, queen b6, ab6, d4, and castle. Okay, so but there's no problem at all, right? I have equal material. These pawns look strange, but they are pretty strong. Yeah, the game ended in a draw really quickly, but with such an interesting position, I believe that I could really put some great resistance. So it is probably the main conclusion that I should play bishop c5 instead of playing knight a6, and yeah, then maybe the game would be much easier for me, because I was really trying there then to put this knight into the game somehow, but it wasn't that easy, and I didn't really know what to do during the whole game with this knight. It turned out that this was the one and the only move made by this knight, because some moves later, to be precise 10 moves later, after bishop a6, this knight said goodbye to this world. So yeah, knight a6 looked good, but I need to remember that sometimes putting the pieces on the edge of the board might not be that useful, you know. So maybe main conclusion, to better know the openings and to in strategical positions, to not focus on calculating variations, but to try to follow the basic rules, because it's so stupid that in this position I spent 19 minutes to do a castle, right? Or am I insane? Probably it is. Castle just can't be bad move. Yeah, so you know, sometimes even me, even let's say international masters make some basic mistakes, from which I need to learn, and I hope that I will become a greater chess player then. To summarize this tournament a little bit, I ended with the result 5.5 out of 9. No Grandmaster norms, no rating points. Actually, I lost 6 rating points, but it's not that much. 6 rating points is you can gain after winning the game against 2600 Grandmaster, let's say. So it's not that hard to regain these points again. I am happy that this tournament ended, because the first half of the tournament looked pretty nice. But when I drew this game in number 5 against this Indian player, when she played this rook a2 knight b1 moves, well, maybe I lost my self-confidence after this game, because then I lost this flow. As you could see that I made another draw against another Indian guy in 19 moves, because I couldn't just go out of his prep, and I just couldn't do. I just didn't know what to do, and I offered a draw. Then again, against this Kazakhstan woman international master, luckily I didn't lose this game, and I had to defend the position. And when you make 3 draws against the lower rated opponents, you know that the tournament isn't go on the way you want it to go. But of course, sometimes it is how it is. We don't give up. We are still fighting. In the next 2 weeks, I am playing another tournament in Greece. So of course you can expect the recaps from the Greece, but it's within the next 2 weeks. So yeah, still have some time to analyze these games more deeply, to make some conclusions, and to become a better version of ourselves. So, you know, we are not giving up. Of course, it could be much better, especially when you see that when you go to the results, you can see that I think my place occurs between number 50 or 60, which is which is not a good result at all. But yeah, sometimes it is how it is. Great congratulations for all my Polish friends, to Miłosz Szpar, to Jan Malek, and to Jan Klimkowski, who made a Grandmaster norms. And probably the Polish guys are the only ones from the whole tournament who made a Grandmaster norms. So great congrats for you guys, you're amazing. And I hope to catch you one day. Well, okay, guys. Probably I don't have anything more to say. Thank you once again. Thank you for everyone who watched every single analysis, who was following my results, and who was rooting for me. It is really nice to hear some feedback from my viewers, from my followers, etc., etc. Well, I hope that you will stay with me for a longer amount of time. And yeah, Cossack Chess from this side. Thank you very much, guys. See you.